And it's 3 p.m. Go ahead, Danielle. I've started the recording.
All right, thank you, Kirk. Welcome, everybody. My name is Danielle Tran. We're going to go ahead and get started on our presentation today, talking to you guys about maximizing your education benefits. Thank you guys for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. Let's go ahead and move forward by just covering a little bit of some housekeeping. We do ask that everyone go ahead and keep their cameras off. That is to maintain bandwidth. We know we have a lot of people on the call with us today. We want to make sure that things continue to move as smoothly as possible. You will also be able to make sure you keep yourself on mute, again, for the same reasons, to minimize distractions and to make sure that everything stays connected. So for our agenda today, we are going to have just a brief overview of the CalTAP program. We'll have someone speak from either local interagency network coordinator, and then myself will be talking about some education benefits and how best you can use them, just some recommendations and best practices. At the end of that, you'll have an opportunity to ask us questions. We do ask that you go ahead and start generating questions while we are presenting. You can send those through the chat. We have that chat function in the Zoom platform, and we ask that you go ahead and use that. You can send them to CalTAP questions. He will record your questions, and if he can't answer them then and there, he'll go ahead and save them for the end of the presentation. So just again, please familiarize yourself with that, with the Zoom chat, so that you can make sure that you get your questions answered. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and actually turn it over to Kirk, who's going to do your overview today.
Thank you, Danielle. Good afternoon. My name is Kirk Eller. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I served 4 years in the Marine Corps from 1986 to 1990. I want to thank, obviously, the Shasta Community College for allowing us to participate with them on this webinar. And I want to thank all of you who are here to join us today for learning about maximizing your educational benefits. I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the overview and give you some ideas on what CalTAP is and what some of your California-specific benefits are. So the CalTAP program was actually designed to connect and inform veterans of all eras on what your federal and state benefits are. And we also want to provide continued support to those veterans and your family members as those needs change over time. And how we do that is through the 5 pathways, which is our core curriculum, our education pathway, employment, entrepreneurship, and then there's also a 5th pathway for service providers, which is a mentorship and training provider training pathway for any kind of businesses that may want to do business and learn about how to serve veterans. Next slide. So this is what our resource book looks like. In the chat, we have downloaded the link for our Veterans Resource Book. This is what it looks like. On the back of the book, there's our 800 number, and you can contact us in this book. This is an important resource for you because it has a lot of information from all of your education, how to access health benefits, as well as VA information. I highly recommend that you download this on a device like your phone, and we will put a file of the actual document in the chat as well. We'll upload it so that you can download it directly to your device and have it accessible. If you're out and about on the go, it's nice to have that at your fingertips. Next slide. If you're looking for CalTAP online, to look at the Calvet website, you go to calvet.ca.gov. That will take you to our homepage. And under the CalTAP tab that you see that's highlighted there with the laptop, if you click on that tab, that will take you to our CalTAP page. Next slide. At the bottom of the CalTAP page, there's archived webinars that were previously recorded. And I want to note that this is being recorded as well. So if you miss any portion of this recording of this webinar at all, go back to this website, this link, and we will have this uploaded to this site at a later date, okay? Next slide. Here you can see all of our previously recorded webinars, a variety of topics from education and benefits and recognizing coping with addictions, a variety of topics on related issues that service for veterans. Next slide. So how can you use CalTAP online? If you go back to the CalTAP page, it shows all 5 of the pathways there listed. We're going to click on the core curriculum pathway, which is going to highlight the California benefits, which is under Module 5, shown here. Next slide. And if you click on the module, you'll see a PDF version of an overview of what the module is and what it contains in each module. In this module of the California benefits, it shows all of the benefits for California specific. Next slide. And then if you click on the lesson plan under that module, this will give you what the individual lesson is for each one of those plans. Next slide. This is where our California Veterans Resource Book begins for your California veterans on Chapter 1, page 13 of the resource book. So what are your California specific benefits? Well, one of our most popular benefits is obviously the college tuition fee waiver. This fee waiver is for veteran dependents of veterans, I'm sorry. And what it does is it waives the tuition and fees at any state-funded school, whether it's a UC, CSU, or a community college. And this is a huge savings for veterans throughout each and annually. Danielle's going to go over this a little bit more, so I don't want to go into too much detail on that. But there is some eligibility requirements. You do have to have a service-connected disability of 0 to 100% to be eligible for this benefit. Next slide. We also have DMV programs. The veteran designation on our driver's license is a very popular one. One of the reasons why people ask, why would you want to have this on your driver's license? And this enables you to show that you're a veteran without carrying multiple documents in your wallet or your purse. And you can have it shown on your driver's license. And if you're out and about, and you can get discounts on retail services and other benefits. There's also honoring veterans license plates. This program is very popular if you're out and about and you see license plates on vehicles that have maybe a branch of service or a unit designation or a Purple Heart or even a Gold Star family. These are very popular license plates, and you can show your pride of your unit, or you can just honor veterans by having one of these on your vehicles. The proceeds for these do actually go to veteran service programs. So it doesn't just go into the state's general fund. They actually designate those proceeds to veteran services. There's also a motor vehicle registration fee waiver for eligible disabled veterans of 100% service-connected disability. You can have your registrations for your vehicle fees are waived. Next slide. Outdoor activities for a 50% service-connected disability eligible veterans can have their hunting and fishing license reduced annual fees, or they can receive no-cost passes for our state park systems. Next slide. There's also tax programs for disabled veterans. You can receive a property tax exemption. It's encouraged that you contact your local county assessor's office to find out what the tax exemption actually is for that local county. And also there's business license or tax fee and fee exemptions for businesses if you're a disabled veteran. We do have a Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise program, which enables, if you're certified through that program, you can contract with the state to have a 3% higher veteran disabled businesses to contract with the state. Next slide. Our CalVet Home Loans program is very popular. We have Brad Pedersen, who does our presentations for our home loans, and he gets a lot of questions all the time about home loans through our program. And it's a great program. They provide great financing as well as competitive interest rates. And they also have a way that you can coordinate and use your VA loan with the CalVet loan. Brad likes to call it this bucket of benefits, and it's a really good program. So if you're interested in that, we'll put Brad's information in the chat so that you can contact him directly. Next slide. We also have a CalVet Women's Division, and they provide information and advocacy as well as outreach and support for California women veterans. They also partner with the California Women Veterans Leadership Council. Next slide. This is what their homepage looks like. They actually have a sign-up roster that's a statewide roster you can register for, and you can receive information in emails on upcoming events, as well as the annual Women Veterans Reception. Next slide. Our Calvet Minority Veterans Division also provides information and advocacy and outreach and support for California minority veterans. They can assist with unnaturalized veterans in attaining naturalization services, as well as citizenship. This is what their homepage looks like, and there's also a statewide roster that you can sign up for to receive information on upcoming events. Next slide. We have 8 veteran homes throughout the state of California, from Chula Vista all the way up here to Redding, and from Barstow all the way out to Lancaster and Ventura, as well as West LA and Yountville. They provide long-term care for our veterans for medical and dental and pharmaceutical, as well as rehabilitation and social services. Next slide. We also have 3 state cemeteries throughout the state, one on the coast over in Seaside, one there in Redding, and another one is attached to the Yountville home in Yountville. Next slide. So I give you a lot of information in a quick amount of time. I know that if you have any information or questions about any of those topics that I touched on, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm going to give you some information on some common websites that we familiarize that you may be familiar with. The next slide will be for the VA. Obviously, the va.gov is most veterans know about this website. You can access your health care benefits, any disability or compensation issues, records, as well as any education benefits that you can sign up for through these. If you do not have any familiarity with this, I highly encourage you to go to eBenefits, which is the next slide, and register. Once you register on eBenefits, you can apply or access or manage all of those benefits from this portal. Next slide. If you have healthcare through the VA, I highly encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to sign up for My Health eVet. I know during the COVID pandemic, a lot of the doctors are done virtually now. So most veterans who have healthcare are doing a lot of their doctor's appointments virtually. So if you can sign up and have your doctor's appointments, email your doctor, upload or get access to your health records, as well as any pharmaceutical needs from this website. Next slide. This is my contact information, my email. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is our 800 number. Our link coordinators are currently accessing the phones for our 800 number. And with that segue, I will turn this over to our link coordinator, who will be Kevin Graves, and he will talk about what he does. Kevin?
Nice segue there, Kirk. Appreciate that.
Thank you for joining us. I'll turn it over to you.
Very polished. Yeah, my name is Kevin Graves, and I am, because we love acronyms. You remember when you're in the military, we all love acronyms. So I am a LINC, a local interagency network coordinator. And what that means is that I'm kind of the bridge between Calvet headquarters and you guys out here in California, the 1.3 million veterans that we have serving that still live here in the state. And there's 8 of us statewide. Can I get the next slide, please? There's 8 of it. There we go. Thank you. There's 8 of us here in the state, and there's the regions that we cover. We ask, this will be in your packet that you received, but it's beneficial for you to contact the link in your region because we are most familiar with the resources and benefits in our particular region. Your link happens to be out on military training right now. His name is Cole Wagonar, and his contact information will be in the chat. Kirk is putting that in there, and it's also here on the map. Cole's great. He covers a large part of Northern California, as you can tell in the orange. I am from the Bay Area, so I cover all that area below that in the green, but we also cross over, and our purpose here is to serve you. So feel free to contact any of us if you can't get a hold of one or the other. So we try to cover the whole state. We do the best we can. And if you'll go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about what we do. I guess I should take a minute to talk a little bit about myself. First of all, I am, Kirk mentioned earlier, Gold Star license plates. I'm a Gold Star dad. My boy, my son was killed in Iraq in 2006. He's the one that kind of led me in this direction to serve veterans, because I was one of the two fathers behind that Gold Star license plate bill, which puts Gold Star license plates on cars throughout California for those that have paid that ultimate sacrifice. I also serve in the Cal Guard. I'm an E7. I'm a chaplain assistant, and I spent a couple of months up in your area earlier this year fighting fires with several different units at several different complexes. And I know it wasn't so bad right there in Redding this year, but I was over in Humboldt and then again over in Butte County. And I currently still serve with the 185th MP Battalion out of Pittsburgh, California. Our primary mission with for our group is to provide outreach, as I stated, to not only you, but also to your families, to make sure that whatever benefits and resources you have earned while serving, you're able to access. We do that by working directly with other service providers, for-profit, nonprofit, governmental, non-governmental agencies. We develop relationships with them so we can make sure that those resources are available to you. As I mentioned, we assist with local emergencies. When I'm not serving in the Guard at a fire, for instance, when you had your big fires up there about 4 years ago, I was at the local assistance center, the LAC. It was there at Shasta High School, or Redding High, the high school. I'll just say that. I just remember I was at a high school, and I was up there for about 2 weeks providing benefits and resources to veterans who lost their homes, or their DD-214s, or their hearing aids, or whatever it was that they lost. We were there to provide assistance, and we do that throughout the state. And then we also advocate on your behalf with community leadership, making sure that people understand that there's a definite benefit and asset to having veterans live in their local communities. Next slide, please. So here's part of what we do. As I mentioned, one of the most important things we do is that we connect with the County Veteran Service Office. There's 58 counties in the state. 56 out of 58 counties have Veteran Service Office. You have a very robust office up there in Redding. The gal there that runs that program is very knowledgeable. She has a good team, small team, but good team. And you guys have a very active, as you probably know, a very active veteran community. One of our homes that Kirk mentioned is right there by the airport in Redding. I remember being up there for the grand opening probably 8 years ago, and met a lot of the people in your area that are with the veteran groups up there, and it's very robust. So we partner with the CVSOs, and we rely heavily on them. All of those benefits that Kirk talked about, the license plate, the DMV designation on your driver's license, park licenses, college fee waiver, all the benefits that come through the state, you go to your county veteran service office to have taken care of. And that's also where you would go to file your claims. And so we work very closely with the county veteran service offices in our regions, and we develop good relationships with them. And we encourage you, if you have not visited there virtually, that you do that. It's a little difficult now to get a hold of them. Everybody is working mostly remotely. So patience is very much needed when it comes to contacting any of the bureaucracies these days, and I would encourage that. With regards to healthcare, we work closely with the VA, what I call the big VA. And we develop relationships with the different organizations that provide services. Your VA benefits come out of San Francisco. Yours might come out of Sacramento, the Northern California healthcare system. And we work closely with those organizations to make sure we know what they're doing, how they're doing it, how well they're doing it, and try to mitigate any sort of challenges you might have with dealing with the VA. And then for employment, we work very closely with our sister agency, the EDD. EDD's challenged right now with a ton of work. They're overloaded, but they're doing the best they can. They do have dedicated veteran representatives within the EDD that are solely there and paid for to strictly work with veterans. And they work with both with veterans to help them find jobs, and they also work with employers and finding employers that want to hire veterans. So go online, look at the EDD. Best thing to do at this point is send out emails. If you can get, the email addresses are online, and if you need to contact somebody about a job, or if you need to file a claim, it's very difficult right now. It's very challenging. So again, patience is the word of the day. Next slide, please. So a lot of things we get asked about is understanding there's difference between federal and state benefits. When you were in the service, unless you were in the National Guard only, you worked for Uncle Sam, you didn't work for Uncle Gavin. And so all of your 95% of your benefits come from the federal government. So we can help you find the right people to talk to, but we really can't help you with those benefits because those are federally supplied benefits, but your county veteran service office can. And again, I would encourage you to contact them. The different areas where we can be of help are veteran housing, healthcare, mental health, employment, and educational resources. Of course, you know about the educational resources because you're involved in them right now. Employment we discussed. For mental health, if you're a combat vet, I would encourage you highly to contact the local vet center. They have great counselors in place to help with any of those challenges you might have. And then for housing, again, go to your county veteran service office will know the local nonprofits that have HUD-VASH and SSVF grant money that can help with housing. We work, as Kirk mentioned, closely with Calvet Home Loans. It's a great program. The one thing I would tell you about that, the difference between a federal home loan, I hope I'm not being redundant here. I don't think I heard Kirk say this. And Calvet is the VA home loan, which you get through a standard mortgage broker, is through a conventional lending organization. You're going to still work with Chase or Bank of America or Wells Fargo. It's just guaranteed by the federal government. It gives you great benefits. It gives you low or no down. It gives you no PMI, and it helps you get into a home. It's a great benefit. Calvet home loans is different in that you're actually borrowing the money from bonds that we have floated here in the state that are of no cost to the taxpayer. And the state itself is the mortgage broker. There are distinct benefits to that, and that is in qualification and some other areas that they have more flexibility. But also, you won't hear about that through your conventional real estate agents because we are the mortgage broker. So there's no money in it for a commercial mortgage broker. So if you're thinking about buying a home, I would definitely look into Calvet home loans as well as VA home loans. We help navigate through the monster bureaucracy of the VA, and they do a lot of stuff really well, but some stuff they don't do so well, and we're here to help you navigate through that. The educational benefits, again, college fee waiver for state benefits, your post 9/11 or forever GI Bill through the federal government, and then whatever those other benefits that Kirk has mentioned with regards to state benefits, we can help you with that. Again, the County Veteran Service Office is a good place for that. And then we keep in our toolbox local and regional resources and benefits that you may need to do whatever it is whatever your needs are that are veteran specific. Can I get the next slide, please? All right, so there is our 800 number, but more importantly, there's my cell phone number. And you're more than welcome to make note of it and to call me. I would encourage you, Cole, actually, this is his last day of training. He will be back tomorrow. And I'm not pawning you guys off on anybody. I'm just saying he knows the area better than I do. But you can call either one of us. And again, I believe Kirk has put Cole's contact information in the chat room. And he will be back at the job tomorrow, and we can't wait to have him back. So with that, I will return the screen to Danielle.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about just some educational best practices and recommendations. Again, this isn't anything that's kind of backed by the federal government or the VA. These are just some tips from us that we feel like can really help you maximize using your education benefits, whether or not you're using the GI Bill or if you have a dependent that's using the tuition fee waiver. I want to give you guys some basic information. So we'll get started. So here is going back to our homepage where you'll have some information on the education pathway. You'll be able to get access to those modules there. It's going to give you some information on selecting a school, education benefits. So again, a lot of you guys have registered through Shasta College, so you're probably already in school. So this might be great information to send a dependent if they're looking at going to college in the near future. So talking about your education benefits, as Kevin mentioned earlier, 95% of them are going to come from the federal government, that main one being your GI Bill. So under Chapter 30, Chapter 33, and the Forever GI Bill, you get up to 36 months of education benefits. And then if you are able to qualify under Chapter 31 with that Veterans Rehabilitation and Employment, I'll have to double check on that. They just changed the name, so we're still learning it. You can get an additional 12 months of education benefits. That will bring that up to 48 months total. So the Forever GI Bill, which is a little bit newer, has ended the 15-year limit. So it gives you a little bit of more time to go ahead and use your benefits. And it'll provide benefits to the Purple Heart recipients, regardless of their length of service. And then it restores benefits used by you and your dependents if you experience a permanent school closure. There are unfortunately some schools out there that do prey on veterans because essentially you're 100% money for them to put in their pockets if it's a for-profit school. So in some cases like that, you might lose that money without this benefit there. So it's a great way to make sure that you are still protected. In addition to that, it increased the payments to $2,300 per year for veterans with less than 12 months of active service. And then it expanded some benefits, gave it a little additional stipend there for the pursuit of science, technology, engineering, and math degrees. So we're going to go and talk a little bit more about that. And so what this scholarship is kind of what they've been calling it. It gives you an additional 9 months of GI benefits in order to pursue these STEM degrees. And so what we know about those things, they take a little bit longer, definitely more longer than those 36 months to achieve. There tend to be several additional, prerequisite classes that you'll have to take. So it can be very easy to go ahead and blast through that 36 months of education benefit. So it's giving you some extra time to get that done. So the priority entitlement is those who have 100% post 9/11 or who need more credit hours. This program cannot be matched by the Yellow Robe program. We will talk about that a little bit more in detail later on. And then this specific portion of the GI Bill is not transferable to dependents. So speaking of transferring, again, a lot of you guys are already out, but if you have, somebody else who might be in, you do have to make sure that that's transferred before you have exited service. It's not something you can do, unfortunately, afterwards. Again, that is a federal VA rule. That's not something that's determined by us or by the school. That's something that they decided before you exited. So we do like to point out the va.gov's website, where you can always get the most up-to-date information. Again, we are going on this website ourselves to get information to share with you. So we strongly encourage you guys to go ahead and check this out on your own. We also really like to use this GI Bill comparison tool because, again, you'll be able to search for schools and you'll be able to look at exactly how much money you might be able to receive if you're going to use this GI Bill at a particular school. So, for example, here, we just went ahead and searched Shasta, brought up a few schools. You can look at exactly how much tuition is going to be covered annually, what you'll receive for your BAH, and the stipend that you'll receive for your books. So I do like to point out on this page is it's really important to point out these numbers because the GI Bill covers 36 months of your education. And we know that a 4-year degree is 48 months. So you already know potentially you're a year short. So you want to keep that in mind, but also you want to keep in mind things like the housing costs, the book costs, because on the next slide, you'll see, like, for example, on the second line, it says books and supplies. By their standards, 2018, books and supplies can cost $1,600. Well, on the previous slide, I'll go back to that. You'll see that the GI Bill is only going to cover $1,000 for your books. So already you are short $635 of what you'll need to pay for your books. And I'm sure, again, as college students, you're already seeing that sometimes the buck is enough. Sometimes it just doesn't cover everything. So a lot of people aren't really prepared for these little additional costs. Books are very expensive. Supplies for school can be very expensive. So you want to keep these things in mind as you're beginning to plan to use your GI Bill. Or if your dependent is planning to use your GI Bill, you want to keep all these little nuances in mind because you want to make sure that you maximize that as much as possible and not have to pay out of pocket too much, or have to take out a student loan. We know that student loan debt in the country is a huge, huge problem. So you want to avoid getting into that as much as possible. So utilization of benefits. You need 120 credits minimum in order to obtain your BA. Now, I would say that most people go way, way over that. I know I did. When I was pursuing my degree, I probably had about 100 extra credits. And part of that is because I changed majors mid-year. Now, unless you're one of those people, and you may very well be, who know exactly what they want to do, the moment they turn 18 and are going to school, they don't veer off that track at all. They just single-minded focus. I admire you. I'm not that person. You're going to probably go over a lot of those credits. And so, there are some prerequisite classes that may not count towards your graduation credits. There might be something you were just simply interested in and just needed to fill or replace a class in order to, be considered a full-time student. So there are times where you might just have more credits. And so if you're enrolled full-time, that's taking 12 units for the fall or spring, or 6 units for the summer. This is at a community college level or at the state. Your GI Bill is only going to cover 116 credits total. So you're short default 1 class. So already you can begin to see how there's a little bit of an imbalance in making sure that you are obtaining that BA. Because again, in addition to those 120 credits that you need for your BA, you also have the general ed classes that you have to take, right? The science, the math, the art. You have to take all of those things in addition to working on those 120 credits for your BA. So we're already short starting out. So with that, Calvet and CalTAP has come up with some tips that we hope will help you begin to stretch and maximize your benefits. So tip 1 being take more than 12 units. So if you are utilizing the GI Bill and you're taking just even 1 additional class, taking those 15 units will still pay the full amount for your BAH, and the GI Bill will also cover that full tuition. And so again, you're taking an extra class, the full tuition is going to be covered, and this could potentially add up to you graduating at least 1 semester earlier, just making up for any of those extra classes you might have to take for whatever reason. So we do strongly recommend that you begin to take 15 units if possible. If your lifestyle, your family, if that works out for you, we do recommend taking those 15 units. Tip 2 is considering certifying at 3/4 time. And so what that's going to look like is, instead of certifying all 4 of your classes under the GI Bill, you're just going to certify 3. So you'll still take take 4 classes, but only 3 of them will be certified under the GI Bill. And so what this could potentially work out to is moving that 36-month GI Bill time limit up to 45 months. And so it gives you an additional time to kind of use it and stretch it out. So your BAH would be paid at only that 3/4 amount, since you only did certify 3 classes out of the 4 that you're taking. And you could potentially use the California Promise or a scholarship or money from your own paycheck to pay for that 4th class, or some other financial aid if that's possible. So just, again, another way of stretching that out. So tip 3, participate in a work study. Now, the federal work study programs, if you're going specifically through one that's related to the VA, they're going to pay you the federal or state minimum wage in order to do their jobs, or whatever assistance that they need to help with. And the benefit of doing a work study is that they are understanding that you are a student. They know that working right now is not a priority for you. Going to school is a priority, but you also need to pay for things like childcare, gas, parking, whatever it may be. You need some additional money. And so they're going to offer you an opportunity to work to offset some of those costs of attendance, but they're also going to most importantly respect the fact that you are a student first. So they're going to be giving you flexible work schedules, things like that. Because as I'm sure you already know, there's no money in between semesters, whether or not you're just getting financial aid from the school or you're using the BAH, you're not actually going to get any money in between those semesters and quarters. And so bills still need to be paid, food still needs to be purchased. So you might need some extra money in between those times if you haven't really worked out a budget to stretch and cover those gaps. So withdrawal versus an F for our tip 4. So we'd like to point this out because there is a possibility to earn an F. I know that sounds really strange to say, but if you earn an F, that means you went to the class, you completed the class, you showed up, you took the final, and unfortunately you got an F. So you did earn that F. And what's going to happen is, receiving that F may not affect your stipend. You still took the class, you just didn't pass it. But in terms of receiving your BAH, you did what you were supposed to do. You took the class, you completed it from beginning to end. So it won't affect your BAH. However, it can affect your remaining months of education benefits if you have to make up that class, or you're going to basically spend potentially another semester making up that class if you need to, depending on what it was. And so it's going to eat away at that small amount of 36 months of benefits that you have. Now, if you withdraw from a class, it's not going to affect your GPA, but it can potentially affect your BAH stipend if you don't replace that class, because then you're looking at being partially certified, like under that 3/4 time certification that we talked about with tip 2. So it just depends on which one works for you. Do you, want to take the time to replace that class? Or do you want to just go ahead and finish it from beginning to end and worry about making it later if it's a requirement, or just going ahead and being certified at a smaller amount for your BH? And our final tip is to use the Veterans Resource Center. So there are lots of great resources, and each Veterans Center is a little bit different depending on what campus you're on. But ultimately, their goal is to support you, the veteran, the student veteran, while you're attending school. They offer a variety of services. You can also just have a sense of great camaraderie there, being able to be with people who are familiar with what you are going through, transitioning from civilian or from military to civilian life. So we just strongly recommend that you go out and utilize this resource, whatever you can get to make sure that you are successful at your school. We definitely strongly encourage you guys to go ahead and do that. So talking about financial assistance. So again, most of you should be familiar with the Federal Application for Student Assistance. That's the FAFSA. That's what you're going to fill out every year to qualify for aid. I like to point this out because the school is going to use your FAFSA to generate a financial aid package, and you are allowed to accept some, all of that financial aid package. A lot of people think they have to accept all of it. You don't. You take what you need. You take the free money, absolutely for sure, grants, any scholarships they give you, you take that for sure, and then you look with a hard eye at loans, determine whether or not you actually need those. You don't always have to accept the full amount of a loan. So if they offer you a $5,000 loan, you can accept 1,000 of that, just to make sure you're keeping your student debt down if that's something that you need to do. But approach that FAFSA with, or the financial aid package that they used based on your FAFSA, approach that with a critical eye, make sure you're looking at that. And then with the California Promise, this does waive the cost of tuition at the community college level. Again, there are some requirements on applying for that. A lot of people can qualify, so just something to consider, another way to get some classes done at a very, very low or no cost. And then of course there's scholarships, which again is free money. It does take a lot of time to apply for those. Look out for the ones that you might qualify for, but again, free money's worth it, right? And then finally, as I mentioned before, I was going to talk about the Yellow Ribbon Program. Excuse me. This is a particular benefit that may or may not be available at a certain school. It is something that the schools do have to opt in to participate in. But what this program does is it tries to help offset some additional costs of going to a particular school. Typically, it's either at a out of state school or a more expensive school, say like the University of Southern California, where their tuition costs are going to be much higher than what the VA is willing to pay for. And so if that school does participate in the Yellow Ribbon Program, they have kind of an agreement with the VA where they will split those additional costs. So let's say the cost of attendance is $12,000, but the GI Bill will only cover $10,000 of that. So you're stuck having to either potentially come up with an additional $2,000 in order to attend this school. Well, if they participate in the Yellow Ribbon Program, they're going to say, okay, that additional $2,000, we will agree to split with the VA. the VA will pay $1,000 and the school will pay $1,000, and therefore you're completely covered. So sometimes that's how it works out. Other times it may look like, okay, well, we're only going to pay $500 of that $2,000, then the VA matches that and pays another $500, and now you only have to come up with $1,000. So it really just depends on whether or not the school offers it and how much they will cover of that additional amount that you may have to come out of pocket. So it just depends. Again, you'll be able to find that information probably from their financial aid office if they have that. So if you're looking to transfer to another school, that's something to keep in mind that may or may not be available to you once you're going to take your education to the next level. Now, there it is, veteran readiness and employment. I always want to throw in that rehabilitation. This is formerly known as vocational rehabilitation, Chapter 31. They changed the name a few months ago. So this program can potentially give you an additional 12 months of GI Bill benefits. Again, the whole point of this program, however, is to get some additional education potentially for job placement. So it's not just giving you, additional 12 months to finish your degree for the sake of finishing your degree. This is open to veterans who have a disability that might be preventing them from getting a job, from living an independent life. So this additional 12 months is to help them get to a place where they are employable or they're getting access to care and help that they need in order to live a quality of life. So that's something to consider when you're looking at this program. And then the big one, the college tuition fee waiver for veterans dependents. So some of you might be on here already using this, or some of you might be hopefully planning to have your dependents use this fee waiver, which again, we would love that to happen. The point of this program is to make sure that you guys are able to pay for the cost of your dependents, but use that GI Bill for yourself. So we don't want you to transfer this if you don't have to. Again, some of you guys might already have, but really that's the goal of this, is why CalVet offered it, is so that veterans can use the GI Bill for themselves and then save this benefit for their dependents. So this is open to dependents of veterans with a 0% to 100% disability rating. The dependent, and only the dependent, must reside in California. So let's say you as a veteran decides to move to Texas. A lot of people are kind of fleeing California right now, unfortunately. But if a veteran decides to move to Texas or another state, and their dependent turns 18 and they move to California, become a California resident, they can utilize this benefit. So it's a great option if you're wanting your tuition waived for school, right? You don't want to have to pay for that. And so this will cover waiving tuition at the University of California, California State Universities, and community colleges. And potentially this can cover all the way up through the doctorate. Now, there are 4 plans under this program. Under Plan A, I believe the veteran has to be 100% disabled, and there is an age limit. And then under Plan B, excuse me, which is our more popular plan, there is no age limit. And there is a income limit, but that's the income of just the dependent. So if the dependent is married, it's not their joint income, it's just the dependent's income. And that's typically the federal poverty level. I believe right now it's just a little bit over $13,000 a year. It might have changed. We're now into a new year, so we'll have to get an updated number, but it does change every year, and they are very, very strict. You cannot go over that amount, even by $1, or you'll have to pay for that school. So it's a great benefit if you can make it work out for you. It is available to stepchildren. So if you have a stepchild, they also would be able to use this benefit. And it's not limited. You can't just send one kid. If you have, God bless your heart, 10 kids, all 10 of them could qualify for this benefit. So again, keep this in mind if you are considering having children in the future and you're a veteran, or if your children are getting close to that point where they're going to be going to school. This is another great benefit that they can use. So in Chapter 4 is where you'll be able to find in greater detail exactly what each of those plans are. Again, I want you guys to go through there and read them for yourselves. It's going to be a little bit different from each of you, so I don't want to go over 2 of the 4 plans in too much detail, but you can access those in Chapter 4. And then again, on our website, you'll be able to get access to those plans as well. So I'm going to go over briefly higher education in California. So at the University of California level, again, this is one location where you would be able to utilize the college tuition fee waiver for veterans dependents. There's 10 campuses and 9 of those are undergraduate campuses. And then the next level is the California State University, which offers 23 campuses. This would qualify for the fee waiver as well. And then finally, you have the California community colleges. There's over 116 located throughout the state, so much more accessible if you're looking for school and looking for a place to go. And so what the educational hierarchy is going to look like is at the community college level, you'll be able to get a vocational certificate or your associate's degree. And then at the CSU and UC, you'll be able to get your bachelor's degree. And at the UC level, it's moving on up to getting that master's and that doctoral degree. So the reason why we like to point this out is because even as expensive as college is, and even as the world continues to change, where a lot of people are able to be very, very, very successful without getting a degree, it still continues to show that the higher education that you have, the less likely you are to be unemployed, and also the more money you are able to make. So again, there are some fields and vocations where this doesn't apply. But again, the data continues to show that the more education you have, the better off you are. So that's one of the reasons why we like to really point out higher education in California, is it's still showing, this is 2019 when this data was pulled, that you're still able to do better with education. So we like to really emphasize going to community college because it gives you that time to kind of play with what your career goals are, if you are not that person that knows exactly what they want to do. Trust me, there are people out there, but if you need a little additional time to kind of figure out what you may or may not be interested in, this gives you that time to do so. It's very inexpensive at only $46 a unit, versus at the UC level, you're probably doubling or maybe even potentially tripling that cost. If you're able to qualify under the California College Promise, you're able to get the tuition completely waived at the school. So that's another great benefit. If you're looking for short-term certificates, you can also do that there. And then they also have transfer guarantees to UCs and CSUs. So it makes it a little bit easier, whereas you're not competing with everyone the first go around for that UC. You can kind of stagger and make your way in and get that guaranteed transfer. In terms of how they support veterans, they give you guys priority registration. I'm sure, again, as veteran students, you might already know how important this is. Even though there are 116 community colleges, a lot of people are going to those because it's just more cost effective. And so what that means is it can be very easy for classes to get snapped up and filled really quickly. But with priority registration, that's not something you have to worry about. You'll be able to register first, and so you'll have access and the ability to make sure that you are able to get the classes you want when you want them, versus just kind of getting what's left over. You should also be able to always qualify for the in-state tuition rate, but again, you'll need to double check with admissions. That's if you've moved here recently. And then many community colleges also have the Veterans Affairs Office or Veteran Resource Centers, which I talked about a little bit earlier today. So in order to apply, you would go to CCC Apply. And again, this is where you're going to apply for any of these community colleges. They also have that transfer path. And again, giving priority admission to eligible community college students. You'll need to complete a transfer major preparation course. But again, they're there not to complicate the issue. They're there to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, basically. It's there to help you. So this is a little bit of more information on the transfer process. You're going to complete your associate's degree. You're going to arrange to make sure that your transfer to the 4-year or the 2-year is in place, and then you'll complete that. So again, very simplistic explanation of the transfer process, but again, just to point out that they're there to help you guys, and the transfer process is already in place. You just need to be ready to do it when it's time. So we'd like to share these online information resources. I'll give you guys a minute to take a screenshot if you want. Again, this, as Kirk mentioned, in addition to this PowerPoint in addition to this webinar being recorded, the PowerPoint will also be available after that. So you'll be able to access the PowerPoint additionally with the webinar. And we just like to post it a little bit later just to make sure if we've had any changes or additions, that you're getting the most up-to-date information. So again, just some great resources of where you can get information on admissions requirements, what the transfer requirements are if you're looking at a particular degree. And so just great place to look at. Salary Surfer is another great website to look at, to take consideration exactly what you could potentially make with a specific degree. So there's my information. We did go over a lot. I imagine now we're ready to move into questions and answers. And so you might have some questions for me. Hopefully Kirk was able to get to all of them. But now this is going to be a time for us to reach out and address those questions. If for whatever reason you don't have time to stay, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. There's my information there. On the next slide, it's going to have the information of everyone who spoke today. So at this time, I will go ahead and open up to Kirk, who has been managing our chat. Let's take a look at all those questions.
Okay, Danielle, we do have a couple questions. I've addressed most of them back into the chat individually. I will go over those questions again in the open forum so that everybody can hear what the questions were. The first question was, well, from Kobe. He wasn't really a question. He was just thanking everybody for our resources that we are providing, specifically on the GI Bill, the post 9/11 and the Forever GI Bill, and how they've been extending it out to everyone. And also James wants to put some information in the chat. Yes, James, you can share your resources if you can post it directly in the chat for your college. That's okay. The next question was from Reggie Martinez, and it was on the residency requirements for California requirements. I looked it up. He joined the military from California and retired in Florida, and then came back recently as of this year. And it's 9 months to the resident requirement for California residents. If you were in the military as a Californian and you paid your taxes in the military the entire time you were in the service, and you still had a California driver's license, even though you retired in Florida, but you returned to California, you would still be considered a California resident no matter where you retired from. The next question was from, let's see, Mo, and he was talking about STEM scholarships and if you could apply them to a STEM degree. And I gave him the information for the Edith Norse STEM scholarship through the VA and how to apply for that, as well as the website. And I posted that in there like he would talk to it. And he was asking specifically if you could use that benefit, the scholarship, for an existing or another undergraduate STEM degree if you already had a degree in another area. I assume you can. I'm not sure if you have to already be using your GI benefit to qualify for the scholarship for the STEM or Edith Norse scholarship. But I think there are STEM scholarships out there where you may be eligible for if you're not. Let's see. The other question was from David, and he asked about the spouses, if they would be eligible for the college tuition fee waiver for spouses. And I replied back, yes, as long as you fall under Plan A and the veteran is 100% service-connected disabled or is deceased because of a service-connected disability or killed in action. There are some requirements for the spousal benefit for that. I did give him the resources for that. And I also posted that resource, the link for everybody to the different plans available on our website. And I think that was the last question.
Kirk, do you mind if someone actually messaged me privately with a question?
No, absolutely, James. Go ahead and you can share the resources. This is partly your information as well. So go ahead.
Perfect.
We'll open the floor up to you.
So we had a question of how is online instruction handled when it comes to education benefits, and what is covered and what is not generally covered. So we're kind of in a unique situation. I could answer this, where the VA has signed regulations where if a class was historically offered in person and moved to online due to COVID situation, they will actually consider it as an in-person class. Now, without that legislation, historically, classes that are online, if you do full online, you would get the federal housing rate, which is a lower rate than the local rate. So you would have to at least take 1 unit worth of class in person. So I hope that answers your question. Feel free to respond back if it did not. But I do want to share some resources to everyone, and I will post it in chat so you could copy and paste. And this is information from Shasta College directly. Oh, looks like I answered that question. Great. So the first resource I post is called Career Coach, where California Community College System and Shasta College as well partnered with this company, this program that ties in careers and salary information directly to programs, updated programs with the California Community College System. So you could actually kind of start that research early. If you're, deciding on where you want to use your GI Bill, you could start looking and matching careers with the programs in the whole California Community College System. They also have a military section, so you could actually compare your military skills with that as well. So it's a great resource. Another one I want to highlight is, and thank you for Danielle for pointing this out as a tip. I was happy to see this, the Veteran Resource Centers on campus. With the COVID situation, it's a little hard to get on campus right now. In fact, you won't be at Shasta College right now. So we created a virtual Veteran Support and Success Center on a Canvas shell. You do have to be a student to get into it, but we do want to make it kind of that place where you could hop in. Maybe you're doing some homework and you could just hop right over, ask us a veterans related question. It doesn't even have to be a veterans related question. It could be financial aid, admissions, transfer, anything of that nature. And it's also a good way to connect with other student veterans as well. So just letting you know that that's out there. That link I provided will let you enroll into that Canvas course. So it's in that same environment as your other courses. The third website there is right to our veterans site. Highly recommend checking it out. We are constantly updating it with events. Same thing as with our Canvas page. And then also right below that is my point of contact. I'm the Shasta College Veteran Services Coordinator. I'm actually a veteran myself. I've gone through the whole California Community College system. I went to the CSU system, utilizing the GI Bill. I've worked at California Community Colleges for about 8 years now. So plenty of information that I'm happy to share, tips, tricks, all that sort of thing. I also include Julie Fisher, who's our VA Education Benefits Certifying Official. She's been with Shasta College. I won't point out the amount of years, but she's been there for a long time. And most of us have been trained in admissions, financial aid, as well as many other areas of the college. So we know a lot more than just the veterans area. So we highly encourage you to reach out to us. And it looks like Julie also posted some more resources there. So thank you. And thank you for letting me share that information.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you so much, James. And we do also have Tyler. He's from the Shasta County Veteran Resource Office. He's here as well. I did make him a co-host, but Julie did just share that information. And he also posted in the chat that the current federal income poverty level is $13,064. So it does change year by year, but that's the current rate. So always great to go to your CVSO. They know that answers like off the top of their head, because that's what they do. So if you would apply for the college tuition fee waiver, you would actually do it through the County Veterans Resource Office. So I did have one question. Let me scroll back to it that was sent directly to me. Here it is. It was about the VA home loan. So if you already have a VA loan, am I still able to get a CalVet loan? Also, what is the difference between the two loans? Are interest rates similar, funding fee, etc.? So as Kevin kind of mentioned earlier, the VA is a home loan guarantee. It's not actually any money being loaned. by the federal VA. It's a home loan guarantee. They're making sure that that's paid. You have low interest rates, potentially zero down, no PMI. The CalVet home loan is going to offer you very, very, very similar rates to that. But the CalVet is actually the one who is going to loan you the money in order to purchase that home. So if you are already having a home that you are using with your VA home loan, you could potentially qualify and still use the CalVet home loan, but you do have to actually take possession of the home for that to be your primary home. So the CalVet home loan, unfortunately, does not work as a secondary home. It does have to be your primary home. So if you're still using your your VA home loan on a second home, if you go ahead and do the CalVet home loan, you would have to take primary residency, I believe, within 60 days. Brad would know off the top of his head, of course. But we do have probably at least 2 webinars specifically on our website where it's Brad giving all this information. So I strongly, strongly encourage you to go ahead and get on to our webinar archive page and pull that up. And we will probably do it again live. So if you want to ask questions, then it is one of our popular webinars that we continue to do. But there should, I believe, at least be 2 webinars where Brad talks specifically about our CalVet home loan program. So I strongly encourage you to reach out to him if I didn't answer your question, or if you would just like to view that webinar. I believe, Kirk, were you able to put Brad's information in there? He loves people calling him all the time. He strongly encouraged you.
Put Brad's information in there, but I can go to the homepage and put the link for the CalVet home loans link in there so they can access it and they can call from that number.
Will you also put in our webinars archive page in there as well?
I already did that, yes.
Okay.
So there was another question.
I think someone might have joined after you sent that, so she's just looking for that link again.
I'll put it back in there again. So I posted the link for the home loans webpage, and then I will post the information for the webinar archive pages, as well as our PDF for the link for our resource book.
Perfect.
There was another question from Fernando about the differences. Let's see, where was I? Fernando asked, he joined in '99 and received a Navy College Fund on top of his Montgomery bill, GI Bill. His question is, can he still use that even though he transitioned to the post 9/11? As far as I know, that if his benefit had already expired from his Montgomery bill into the post 9/11, it would not extend out to the to the forever GI Bill. You would have to enter service after 2013, I believe, for the forever GI Bill to continue on. I myself used the Montgomery GI Bill from 1986 to 89. I got out in 1990 and I used it in 1990. So when I used my GI Bill, I didn't complete using all of it, and it expired after 10 years. So if the limit had already extended beyond the expiration date, your forever GI Bill would not be able to extend that period for your benefit. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, I did have another question as well, if we're closed on that one. And it was someone asking for some more information about Chapter 36. Now, I don't know if Kevin can speak on this, or Tyler, I hate to put you on the spot, but you're at the CVS, so if you could, they were asking if we could speak more about Chapter 36, which we didn't cover in this presentation.
Not my forte, unfortunately.
Yeah, same here. That's why I'm nagging on Tyler. We don't talk about that one very much.
No, it is actually, it's a career counseling program through the VA. It kind of falls in line with not really the Chapter 31 vocational rehabilitation or veteran readiness program, but it is an education program. I'm not sure exactly what all the eligibility requirements are. I know that you would have to be using your GI Bill benefit, I think, to be receiving that as well. So I know there are eligibility requirements for your GI benefit.
That's one where I would definitely say either contact your county veteran service office or call the GI Bill hotline. They're the ones that are going to be able to speak the best to that benefit.
Yep.
I didn't have any more on my end. I just had those two come into me directly. So
Yes.
yep, that's it. All right, I will go ahead and go to the next slide. If you guys have any more, please feel free to go ahead and ask those questions now. As Kirk mentioned earlier today, this webinar has been recorded. The copy of the presentation, unfortunately, we will not send it out because everything is registered through Eventbrite, but you will be able to access the PowerPoint on our archive website once it's available. It's Wednesday, so it might be available on Friday. Usually if we have Friday webinars, it takes a little bit longer, but they're generally pretty quick about getting it on our website. So just save the link that Kirk is putting in the chat for our webinars, or just head back to calvet.ca.gov and you'll be able to get access to our webinar page.
Also, Danielle, I am putting the link in there. I put it in earlier, but I'm going to put the link in for our survey.
Yes. Oh, yes, please. We love your guys' feedback because, especially with this being brand new for us, we're going on probably a year of doing strictly webinars, and we always want to make sure that we are doing the best we can for you guys, making sure we're covering the topics information that you are most interested in. So if you could please take the time out to complete that survey. We truly, truly value your feedback. Again, we do this for you guys and want to make sure we're doing it the best way that we can. So take some time out, please, to fill out that survey. And so on this slide, it's just some of our upcoming webinars. Again, even if you are not in the San Mateo Community College District, or you're not going to Las Positas College, we're not keeping this information from everybody. We want everybody to join, every veteran to go ahead and join any of our webinars. So these are just a few that we have coming up for the rest of February. You can check back on our Eventbrite page. We always have a list of things that are going to be coming up. Just register for anything that sounds interesting to you if you want more information. Again, it's for you guys. We want to make sure that we're always keeping you in contact with the best information out there. And then I'm just going to put up our general email. Again, you're more than welcome to email Kirk or I directly, or Kevin, or anybody who presented today. But feel free to call, reach out if you guys have any more questions. I'm going to close it out here. We'll stay on for a little bit longer in case anyone has any final questions. But thank you guys so much for joining us and sticking with us today. Thank you for your service and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you joining us and we thank you for your service.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for our presenters, Kevin, James. Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. My pleasure.